It is time. The Global Amazing Shake tests the poise, confidence, charisma, soft skills, and etiquette of the most talented students in the world. And in the end, only one winner will be left standing. Who will it be? Stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. We are live here at the Ron Clark Academy for the Global Amazing Shake 2025. My name is Kirk Brown, Chief Development and Communications Officer here at RCA.
And I'm Kim Bearden, the co-founder and executive director here at the Ron Clark Academy, and we are so excited, a year in the making, and today is finally the day for the Gauntlet round.
Incredible. Almost 400 students are here, Kim, from across the country and around the world for 3 days of competition, and I think this is the best weekend of their lives. I'm just not going to put it lightly. A lot of those students that are here have waited a really long time to be here to show their skills, to represent themselves in their schools, and I know they're excited.
Absolutely. Last night we had practice rounds. I was able to engage with a lot of the students here, and the amount of preparation that they have put into attending this event has been unbelievable. Shout out to their chaperones, the educators who have worked with them, the parents who have worked with them to get them ready, because this is our Super Bowl of workplace readiness, our Super Bowl of soft skills, and these students are ready to bring it.
They really are. Workforce readiness indeed. This competition gives those students those skills that they can work on now in middle school to prepare them for life when they get into those careers. A lot of times these skills are not worked on until later on in life, and the fact that they get to work on those skills throughout the year and then showcase them here, it really, really gets them ready and set up for the workforce.
Absolutely. Imagine being a 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th grade student walking into a room of 30 executives and having to work the room. Imagine going from station to station, being interviewed, having to problem solve, having to think on your feet, not knowing what's coming next, making eye contact. How do you give a firm handshake? How do you speak with confidence? How do you have that je ne sais quoi. It's our favorite word. And so, as you can see now, you may think, well, that doesn't match up with the images that I am seeing happening around us right now. Now, this is the Gauntlet round. The Gauntlet round is something that is notorious for being fun, but also extremely exhausting and challenging. And so this year's theme, because we are dealing with kids, is a carnival theme, but be clear, they are having to think on their feet, and to be clear, this is all about a broken carnival. So the students last night were given a little bit of foresight in that they were told that they are here at a carnival not doing so well business-wise. Things are kind of a hot mess, hence the man whose head is in the ball of lettuce there at the table that you might have seen that image. And so the students were told as they go from station to station to prepare themselves to be looking through a critical lens of how can they help this business improve. Their job as they go from station to station is not only to give a firm handshake and engage with each employee here at the carnival, but also to be interviewed, and also at the end to be able to say, here's a plan for how to improve this business. This is what you all need to do. This is why ticket sales are down. People aren't attending the carnival. These are the problems I see. This would be how I would fix it. And they have to be able to do so in a reasonable way. They can't just say, oh, go build Disney World. Well, where's the funding going to come from? So is that logic there, too, in the answers that they give? What are some solutions that would actually be doable solutions? And they'll be called on the carpet about that.
Absolutely. So a lot of critical thinking skills are required here for the students in this gauntlet. So yes, it is a ton of fun. There's a theme here of the carnival, but there's that business aspect of it, those critical thinking skills, those confidence thinking on your feet skills that students are going to be successful if they start to work on those now.
And here's the thing, there's so many distractions. Oh my goodness, so you've got stilt walkers behind us. We've got the sounds of ring tosses, cotton candy, there's a dunking tank, I mean all of these things, but yet they still have to be able to have a conversation with these individuals and to be able to speak to them while they're engaging. And so it is very difficult. The different employees are actually community members from all around the Metro Atlanta area, and also some executives have flown in from other states as well. And so these executives are here to see if these students are able to demonstrate those skills despite all of the hoopla that's going on around them.
There's a lot.
And some of them are role-playing, like here they're being asked why should they be hired to take on the charge of improving this carnival. So that's what's happening at that desk right there, and that student has to be able to give some foresight, some insight into how they can project making things better moving forward. And so there are some serious rounds, and then there are some that are a little fun. Imagine being interviewed while you're on a seesaw.
Right. There's so much happening because look, Kim, if we're going to do a theme, we're going to do a theme, right? And so you talked about the carnival workers walking around on stilts. There's a dunking tank. There's a ring toss, cotton candy machine, all sorts of things that are happening here to really bring this carnival, this broken carnival theme to life. And so I love that the students are kind of in this environment, right? A few years ago, I think it was last year, we started this whole theme of the Gauntlet, and it's really taken form. And I just love how this has come together as well. So got to give a shout out to the whole team that has really worked hard to put this on. Of course, Mr. Clark thinking, the mastermind behind what is the theme going to be this year, and then Hutch, Cookie, Ethan, helping to put it together, Latasha,
Louise, all these backdrops,
yeah.
The artistry, Cam Bradley, our graphics team, they're brilliant.
Yes, and
absolutely
so
brilliant.
A shout out to all those folks to help bring it together. But let's back up just a little bit for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time. You've sent your student on a plane for the first time to come to Atlanta to compete in this thing called the Amazing Shake. I'm not really sure what it is, but they're going and I'm supporting them. And then you've got family members who are tuning in. My baby's in Atlanta. What's going on?
Yes.
And so let us tell you what the Amazing Shake is, right? So the Amazing Shake is a soft skills competition that helps our students to work on those critical skills that they will need later on in life, right? That firm handshake, eye contact, confidence, standing up and speaking and being able to think on your feet. Je ne sais quoi, that certain sparkle that a student has. And so we put all those skills to the test in a series of challenges and rounds and really see how the students will perform. We've got judges here from all across the city of Atlanta who are scoring the students to see which of those students can do it the best. Each round dwindles down until eventually on Sunday morning, we're gonna name the 2025 Global Amazing Shake Champion.
Absolutely, and at each round, you might hear behind us a gong every minute because after each round, the students are given a score of 0 to 20 points on how they demonstrate those skills, and the judges are looking for certain things to see how well they are able to convey what their thoughts are, despite all the distractions. And here's the thing, there are over 400 students here. How do you set yourself apart? How do you not give the same answer everybody else is? How do you not give the obvious answer? But the other challenge is this. As we're teaching students these workplace readiness skills, sometimes at first they seem a little bit robotic.
Yeah.
We have students here from all over the country, so prepped, so incredible. Some just came up, and when I was engaging with them, completely themselves, but yet still demonstrating that professionalism that requires that you're required to do during the competition. Others still a little bit in the robotic stage, kind of squeezing the hand a little bit to the point where my hand is falling off. Doing the pump constantly, that's not real good. Those types of things, or not understanding how to gracefully enter a conversation and gracefully exit the conversation. Yeah. So all of those things are things that come with practice and time. Something big just happened over there because we hear the crowd cheering. And if you're wondering, I guess we should mention who the crowd is. So the educators from around the country who have brought the students here, they are actually able to sit in the gallery and watch. Now, they can't follow the child right through the gauntlet. I know they would love to, but we don't want anybody coaching from the sidelines like what happens at soccer games. And so they have to sit back in the gallery, but they're able to see from a distance how their students seem to be doing at least the body language part throughout the gauntlet.
Yeah, it gives them an opportunity to be in here, provide that moral support for the students. It's just something about when you're going through the gauntlet, knowing that your chaperone is here, maybe not following you around, but here to support me. And so we give the opportunity for the chaperones to come in and be a part of the audience and sit and watch. And so the cheering that you heard earlier, I think somebody hit maybe all the rings on the ball, on the ring toss. I'm not sure what it is, but they're in here cheering them on, and we love that.
Absolutely, and if you are watching from home, please give a shout out in the comments to the students that you're following and that you're really wanting to cheer on, because I did learn last night from a lot of the students, they go back and watch every bit of this broadcast looking for themselves. Really and so they'll look at the comments and they'll see that you were here cheering them on and supporting them, and that'll mean a lot to them.
Definitely, so shout out your school, put some hearts in there, shout out the students' names in the comments as well, so just show that support for those who are watching.
We should talk about our sponsors that help us make this happen as well.
Yes, absolutely. So to put this competition on requires a lot of folks to make this happen, from the staff members that I talked about, but then also corporate sponsors who come together each year to make this happen for us. So we want to give a shout out to our presenting diamond sponsor this year. It's going to be Inspire Foundation. They're just incredible, Kim. They have come in and said, this matches exactly what we are focused on, making sure that students are ready for the workforce, are going to be ready for jobs. If you're not familiar with the Inspire All right, folks, and we are back here. A little technical difficulties there, but we're back. The show continues on. So.
I think it was the cotton candy machine that blew the fuse. I think that's what
I think so. But we were talking about our sponsors, so I want to give a shout out to all the folks that help make this happen. So our diamond presenting sponsor this year, Inspire Brands, the Inspire Foundation, they have come on this year and has really their whole focus is around workforce readiness, and they find the importance of making sure young people are ready for careers today and in the future, especially since they have a lot of the stores that we all are familiar with, right? With the Dunkin' Donuts and a lot of the stores that you all will visit, the restaurants. And so shout out to Inspire Foundation for coming on.
They have been great and really a big support of education, so we're so grateful for them. And also TMPAV, they are event solutions. They had nothing to do with the event, just the power going out right then, just to be clear. That was not them at all. But we are so grateful to them for being our platinum sponsors. You will see when we're broadcasting from the theater, the screen, it is absolutely an epic thing. We're able to show all the students' faces at the same time and everything. They're just an incredible company to work with.
Yes, so shout out to them. And then this year we've got for our gold sponsor, Synovus. So thank you so much, Synovus, for coming on as a sponsor. And then in addition to Synovus, as our silver sponsor this year, we have AT&T, who has sponsored the Global Amazing Shake competition. So just another shout out to our sponsors this year. Again, silver sponsor, AT&T, there, right there on your screen. So again, a lot of folks come together to make this happen for us here every single year. It takes a team effort, so we'll make sure that we shout out our sponsors.
And I need to shout out Kirk and also Danny Zayas in our development department, because you had to get together, was it 250 volunteers for this weekend?
Almost 300, yes.
Almost 300 executives, people working from all over the Metro Atlanta community, and also some of you have been flown in from some other states to be here for judges, volunteering their time. We are so grateful for these business professionals who are here to really make sure that our students are judged fairly, because here at the Roncar Academy, we're not the judges, we're just throwing this event, and we're just so grateful for all of them for giving their time and their talents here for us today.
So shout out to our sponsors. I also want to give a shout out to our volunteer partner, Truist. Truist is a big sponsor of the Roncar Academy in general, but in many ways. But they have 40 volunteers who are volunteering between yesterday and today for the Global Amazing Shake. Can you imagine, Kim?
40 employees that are here. It's incredible.
So when you talk about companies who are really behind the importance of the Amazing Shake and really helping us to power this through, it takes a lot of manpower to make this happen with volunteers. And so a shout out to Truist for coming on board and saying, hey, we're sending this out through our company. We're making it an employee engagement opportunity. They get volunteer hours and all of that. And so shout out to our folks at Truist.
So grateful. It really does show our students that there are people out there in the community who are supporting them, who care about them and the things that they do. And for you educators who may be watching, maybe you have given your own Amazing Shake at your school level, or maybe you're thinking about it. That is a big component and a beautiful part of this whole process, is because getting people from the community into your school and be able to see how you are encouraging students to learn how to do those workplace readiness skills, it really helps to build that marriage where, oh, these are the kind of schools that we want to support. We want to work together and support our community and the students in it. So it's a wonderful way to do that. And many of you are thinking about perhaps doing your first Amazing Shake, and so we do want to refer you to, we have a website, theamazingshake.com, and there's all types of resources, information to tell you more about how you could have a local Amazing Shake. Many of the students who are here competed in the vast majority, either a school or district level Amazing Shake. And so these students have worked very, very hard to compete, to prepare, to be able to come here to the globals. And so we have a network of educators all over the country who are putting on these Amazing Shake competitions, and we're so grateful for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Kim mentioned, it started here at RCA, and now schools all across the country, many of you who are watching, have done the Amazing Shake. And it may have started small the first year, but I've loved watching how each year schools are leveling up their competitions with the rounds, with the experiences for the students, with the sponsors. I mean, just a shout out to them. In fact, we're doing a panel later this morning, featuring and highlighting some of the schools who have done the Amazing Shake well, there's going to be folks here who have an opportunity to ask questions or best practices and really creating that community, as you mentioned, that network of schools and educators so that we can support each other and really support the students who are going through this competition. I've loved how schools have gotten their communities involved as well, through the local chamber of commerce, with businesses in their community, with community partners, because that's what it's all about. How do you bring in folks from the community to help support your students, to get them ready for opportunities today and in the future? And so I love that about the Amazing Shake. And shout out to all of you who are in the comments right now. I see you guys on YouTube. I see you on Facebook commenting, and so shout out to you all for supporting your students, because as we mentioned, they're going to go back and watch this live, and they're going to want to see that you are shouting them out in the comments. So appreciate y'all doing that.
And so if you are just joining us, you're wondering what in the world is happening.
Yes.
This is the Gauntlet round. Students today will have to go through 19 stations. We actually have a mirror image of the Gauntlet on both sides of this facility right now. The students will go to 19 stations, and it looks like it's all fun and games, but actually it's very, very hard work. It requires a lot of focus, a lot of endurance. The students have to go to each station, and they have to look through the lens of, this is a broken down carnival. How can I help these employees? How can I help this business? At the end, they're going to be asked, what things are lacking in this carnival? What would be your business plan to improve it? Ticket sales are down, the employee morale is down, nobody here is enjoying their job at the carnival. And so as they go to each station, they're having to give some pep talks at some places, they're having to give their input, they're actually having to give ideas and critiques for how could this be more effective, how as an employee could they enjoy their job more, what things do they need to focus upon, even questions such as, so many kids are more concerned with being on their devices than being at our carnival. Do you think that students at a certain age should be limited in the amount of time that they have on devices?
Yeah.
So there are some questions like that. Right behind us, you'll see an interview station where it says Bozo the Clown. But at that station, they're being interviewed. If we wanted to have you come in to be someone to repair this carnival, fix it for us, what would you recommend that we do? But their solution has to be logical. They can't just say, oh, go and build roller coasters everywhere, because how would they get the funding for those roller coasters? Are they able to do that?
Yeah, so a lot of questions that they've got to really think about, but then there's some simple questions too that requires creativity, like there's a lost and found station. And so the student has to walk up and answer a question about, did they lose something? And so they have the opportunity to choose, okay, well, is it, did I lose a jacket, or have I lost myself? Or
right. Have I lost my sense of humor? Have I lost my confidence? Yes.
Yeah, so how creative can they be answering that question and to really impress the judges to earn a score of 20, which is what a lot of the students want, because that can really guarantee that you're going to do well in the competition and make it through to the next round. So creativity, humor, confidence, charisma is really a part of that, a part of this competition as well. It's not just all business.
Right. Creativity is something that we really, really emphasize here, and the importance of that at our academy, because your business leaders of tomorrow, you want them to be able to have creative ideas, new ideas, innovation, and so there is also a life-size chessboard here, and when they approach that, they're asked, what chess piece best represents you and why?
Yeah.
And so that requires a little bit of creative thought as well.
A lot of creativity happening here in the competition for sure. So as you see, we're showing you scenes. There's a chess scene right there on your screen, but a lot of different pieces to bring this carnival theme together. Again, if you're just joining us, the whole theme in the Gauntlet this year is a broken carnival, and so there's a ring toss station, a cotton candy station, Bozo the Clown, laughing station, all kinds of things here to really get the students excited about the competition. There's judges on both sides, so there's a track A and a track B, but I'm going to ask our team to put that map back up on the screen so that you can see the brilliance here that CJ Wallace on our team has crafted to put this together. I mean, every year she nails this.
This is our art teacher's masterpiece right here. I love it.
Yes, I mean, so shout out to CJ Wallace for every year just nailing, when I say nailing this scorecard, and just how beautiful it is. I mean, there's a seesaw, there's the man that's with his head chopped off on the table. Just the whole thing is just beautiful. So shout out to CJ for making this happen.
Absolutely. So these students, every station they go to, they hand their card and they receive a score of 0 to 20. And then you hear a gong every minute. So it's just 1 minute at each station. But at most of the stations, except for the floating head, they do have to shake the hand. They have to engage with the person. And despite all the distractions that are happening around them, a 0 to 20. And these judges are told, please score hard. It is not helping anybody if you give, oh, you're cute, I'm gonna give you a 20. It really has to be that this student has demonstrated skill, and they even have a rubric that helps them look for certain aspects of the kinds of answers we're looking for at each of the stations. But the students did not know what were going to be asked at these different stations. They were given very little prep time, but there are some little hidden Easter eggs. For example, in a letter that they were given ahead of time, if they were clever, it directed them somewhere that could have given them an advantage. I can't tell much more because a lot of students have already, haven't gone through the gauntlet yet. Last night, let's talk about what happened.
Let's talk about last night,
Yeah, so the students arrived here last night about 5 p.m. and from 5 to 7 we had practice rounds that they were able to engage in, and just some simple things. One was some role plays. They actually got to be interviewed in a mini interview setting by 4 different judges, and they were asked different questions, simple things, but maybe not so simple. Tell me about yourself. Well, what does student, oh, hello, my name is Susie, I am from Florida. You know, like, how do you really engage in a way that makes you memorable? You're set aside from everybody else, but not sound rehearsed. Not too rehearsed. But they were given a score for that. And then also they did a work the room challenge where they did go in and they had to engage with many different individuals. And so at the end of the of all of those practice rounds, they were giving a tutorial in Mr. Clark's room as well. Students went in and they were practicing their handshake, and right there in front of all the chaperones and the coaches that have helped them get here, he gave them tips and pointers of things they need to work on. For example, many students, when you're speaking to them, they will make eye contact, but when they start to speak back, they do a lot of this,
walking
maintain
around,
that eye contact, right? Or when we're shaking the hand, don't keep pumping the entire time you're talking. Don't squeeze so hard that you feel like, it's a death grip.
A death grip, right.
How do you not sound robotic? How does it sound like we still know your personality, even though you're trying to exude professionalism? So he coached them and to help give them some pointers for today. But when we all met in the theater at 7 o'clock, well, then the top 10 scorers from the interview round and from the work the room round were just acknowledged. Those scores are wiped clean today. They gave it a fresh start. But it did help us see who might be some of the worthy competitors in today's round.
Absolutely, right? Because it gives them just to kind of warm their engines up, get ready for the competition. But as you're right, Kim, it gives them an opportunity to see, okay, which students did well tonight that I got to keep an eye out for tomorrow. And so I love that part of the competition, or the part of the practice rounds last night.
And let's talk about this beautiful girl here. This is Lucia, and she was our 2024 Global Amazing Shake champion, and just a delight. Such a wonderful, wonderful young woman. And so she came back last night, and she actually was the host of the show last night that was done in the auditorium. Poised, professional. It made me so proud because she exuded and exemplified everything that a champion should be able to do. Up there with no notes, just running the show, and just so poised and lovely and so warm and engaging with all the contestants. I think a lot of them were really a little bit starstruck, couldn't wait to meet her and engage with her. She had tips and advice for them, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, and so she came in first last year, as you all know, representing a school in Germany. And second place was Canada, and an RC student came in third. But just to see the growth, I mean, already last year she was incredible, but to see where she is now, as you mentioned, Kim, coming on stage last night, really taking and owning that moment as a global champion speaks exactly to who we want an Amazing Shake student to be. And so shout out to her.
And another key part of this, Kirk, is that we really want these students to understand that this isn't a show. We don't want you to behave one way for judging and then be a different person behind the scenes. So a big part of this is that we really want these students to get to know students from other schools. And this isn't only a competition, this is an opportunity to bond. And I mentioned earlier, I loved it, Lucia said that her 2 weekends here, because she was a repeat competitor, were 2 of the best weekends of her life. So our students last night, after the opening show, they actually went to different groups where they were put with students from all over the country, around the world. Oh, our Honduras contingency's back again. We love them.
Shout out to Honduras.
And so they were able to interact and engage with those students, get to know each other, play some games, but they were told, you're each other's hype squad. Whenever one of you does well, we should be cheering on everyone in your group. And then we all got together in the rotunda. Everybody from each group, they all did a little chant, a little cheer they came up with.
Yes, that's always a great time. I know the energy was just off the walls with all the different crews, and that's what it's about. How do you build relationships? A lot of the students say that this is the best weekend of their life, right? And they still keep in touch even after the weekend is over, and that's what it's about. Yes, we're in a competition, but how can we uplift each other, right? You always say you you find significance in life by uplifting others, and that's what this competition shows.
It's beautiful. Lucia, matter of fact, she shared with the audience last night that last year when she was here, she met some students from the Ron Clark Academy who would be attending a school called Baylor, a wonderful boarding school, really incredible school in the fall. And so she was intrigued. Tell me more. So guess what? She's heading to Baylor this fall. So I thought that was beautiful. Dante, one of our former Global Amazing Shake champions, really bonded with a student here from another state. And when they found out they were both going to be in Florida on vacation at the same time, and their families met up in Florida on vacation together. So these kids, they really do maintain contact with one another. Okay, so this we got to put a little fun in here. If you look at this right here, there are no words being spoken. And so it is silly. It's supposed to be the haunted house.
Oh my goodness.
But if someone's not speaking back, you can't even see their face.
At all.
What do you do?
How do you handle this?
How do you communicate? Do you keep talking? Do you laugh? Do you have a sense of humor? I think a sense of humor would be what I would really look for in this situation. But how do they engage? Because it's so awkward. They're not responding.
They're not responding at all. You got to read these cards. Wait, what's happening here? Okay, how would I walk up and try to build a connection here and show my personality? You got to have some fun in there. So I love that.
The personality is key here. We have a lot of students when they come through. I had a little girl, lovely little girl, come and talk to me last night. She said, "I'm an introvert. How do I handle this?" And I said, "That's beautiful. You don't have to be the loudest person in the room.
You don't.
When you're going from person to person, it's really, you might be better at that, engaging one-on-one and really letting people see who you are. It doesn't have to be a show when you're interacting with someone. We want to know who you are, what makes you unique, what sets you apart. Those are the kinds of things we're looking for, because the champions have not always been extroverted personalities.
We always get the example of Kate and Britton Wheeler, prime example of an introvert here at RCA. While students were bold and, big, that's fine for them. But for her, she is very much so introspective and right here with you. And the judges loved that. And she advanced every single round and became the champion. And so, no, you do not have to be big, bold, and in your face to do well in this competition. Be yourself, still have a voice, but be who you are and be authentic to you. And
also,
the judges will
to
see
be able
that.
to gauge the energy of the judge that you're dealing with, right? Sometimes somebody who's too much in your face can be a little bit off-putting to some people.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
It is that ability to be able to think on your feet and be able to, read the room, so to speak, be able to read the judge. So after the students go through these 19 stations here this morning, their scores are going to be tabulated. We have a whole tabulating room where everything is verified. The scores will be posted so that the chaperones can see it. The students do receive their cards back this evening, so they'll know, how did I do at each of those stations, and be able to give them feedback. And the feedback is an important component of this. Our judges, after each round, also, we have them come up and tell all the students, these were things I was looking for. This is what was done well. They give shout-outs to students who stood out in some way.
And
then these were the patterns of things that needed to be worked upon. And so last night, as I said during the practice rounds, that eye contact when speaking was a big one. And I don't know if this is a technology challenge that we have these days or not, but we do so much of this instead of this.
Instead of this, You've got to. You connect with people by looking in their eyes and being able to have those conversations. And so that's advice too for our chaperones as they're working with their students. As the students are starting to look around, bring the eyes back here because the judges are looking for that. We tell them exactly what to look for to give a score of a 20, what to look for to give a score of a 15, a 10, a 5, or even a 0, right? So students can earn a 0 as well. And so we want the students to be prepared when they walk in here, and eye contact and that handshake is going to be super important that they look for.
Now, another thing, students did have an opportunity to have some bonus points today. So when they did arrive, there were some idols that were hidden around our building.
Idols. Gotta love the idols.
Mr. Clark was a Survivor competitor, and so he loves those idols. And so these were hidden around the building in some locations. And the students, during all of that practice round time, were able to wander around our building, see what our building is all about, because we're blessed with a beautiful facility. And if they found an idol this morning upon entering, they were able to give it to the very first station, and they received an entire 5 points added to their gauntlet round. So that was really impressive.
Yeah, and that can make or break a student from advancing or being in the top 10 of this gauntlet station. So those idols are super important. So shout out to those students who found them. Something I'll also mention is that this year, if the students if they're a top 10 point earner for the gauntlet round, they will move on to the next competition. the next phase of the competition, and also for the work the room. If they earn in the top 10 points, they will move on as well. And so we just wanted to kind of make those points about this year as well.
Absolutely. So yes, we changed the scoring a little bit, and we felt like that was a great way to do it, because last year we had a few students who did great in the Gauntlet. One really killed it. He just kind of fell apart and worked the room. But so we changed it a little bit, and everybody's aware of this who's here for the scoring. Top 10 in the Gauntlet automatically go through to the next round. Top 10 and work the room automatically go to the next round. But we will have a top 50. So the other 30 positions will be filled by the average score of the Gauntlet and the Work the Room challenge. Yeah. That will fill in the other 30 positions. So everybody's aware of how that's going to be scored. And let's talk a little bit about what's happening. After students leave here, these 19 stations, they are going to work the room. Work the room, some of you watching, this is your greatest nightmare. Because you've all been to a party before, perhaps, where you felt like you walked in and you didn't know everybody. But yet, what do you do with yourself? How do you engage, and how do you walk up to people who are already having a conversation? How do you gracefully enter a conversation, gracefully exit? And here's the challenge. The students are required to get to at least 15 individuals in this 30 minutes. Yeah. So they have to have a meaningful conversation with 15 individuals. If they have less, they're disqualified from the score in the work the room.
Yeah.
Also, if they receive a score of 5 or less, it's recorded as a 0. Because we didn't want kids just to go up and get 5 points from 15 people, barely get any points. So they don't know, that part, if they don't get 6 or more points, they might as well have gotten a 0. So it has to be a meaningful conversation, and they're trying to get to a lot of people in a short time. And there are more volunteers than there are kids going through, so those who are smart are going to go up and talk to 2 or 3 executives, hopefully at the same time, figure out how to bring them in. However, one of the things that Mr. Clark pointed out last night, it is a competition, but you're showing social graces, professionalism.
Yeah.
So if you and I were engaging and another competitor came up and I'm competing, it would be gracious
to bring them into the conversation.
This is also another one of one of the people who's in the competition.
Not try to block them out, right?
Not try to block them out. Yeah, it's not like that kind of like
no, this is
mean
my
girl,
judge.
mean boy kind of thing. Right. It's not cutthroat that way. Are you actually uplifting others, bringing them into the conversation? That's the key we're looking for.
I mean, because that's natural in working the room situations in real life, right? Someone is, looking to join a conversation. Oh, come on, join us, right? Who are you? Let's make some introductions, let's have some conversations. And so we're looking to see which one of the students will do that as well and not try to block folks out.
And are they a good listener? He told the judges to please pay attention to those who are a good listener. Sometimes in the workroom situation, we'll have a student, they go, okay, I know a lot of questions to ask. So I'm just going to keep going to people. Okay, what is your name? What do you do? How are you here? What are your? But they don't listen to the answer.
Not listening at all.
So it's not a conversation. Yeah. They're just bulleting, spitfire questions, and it's not an engaging conversation. Are they listening and using what you shared with me to formulate my next part of the conversation?
That's the key, right? So I'm a hairdresser, not just asking another question. Oh, let's go deeper on the hairdresser. Well, how long have you been doing hair? Who are your clients?
Right.
How do you love it, right? So how do they continue to have natural conversation around that aspect of what they just heard and not just saying, you're a hairdresser? Okay, great. Well, what's your favorite color? Nope. It's not going to work. Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of those aspects of just having natural conversation are going to help the students, not just for this competition, but how do you have natural conversations with adults, with folks who could potentially give you a scholarship for college, folks in your community who you're asking for support to help you with your nonprofit idea. This is how you build on those skills through this competition, but really for life as well.
Right, and if you are someone at home and you're trying to coach either your own child or your students on some of these other skills, another key that we also teach our students is the difference between a closed and an open conversation. Yes. So last night, because we're milling about, a lot of the students have watched the broadcast that Kirk and I did last year, and I might be in a very closed conversation with somebody, and I have this in my hand, and I got this in my hand, and they're walking up in between us and like trying to get in there and shake my hand and hello, what is your name? What is your name? Yeah, and what would be gracious to do would just be wait a moment until they see that I'm finished my thought. Yeah. Oh, hello, how are you? And so letting kids be able to read that body language of, it's one thing to be assertive and be confident, but you don't want to be rude or interrupt and that kind of thing. So sometimes that can be awkward, and so that's one of those things that comes with practice, but it is important to practice that skill, and we do practice that here.
And we actually have some videos on the Amazing Shake website that we mentioned earlier at the top of the broadcast, theamazingshake.com. If you go to that website, lots of different resources that schools can use to prepare their students for the Amazing Shake, to put on the Amazing Shake, get community folks involved. But to that point about how do you recognize whether a conversation is open or whether a conversation is closed, we actually have some videos on that website, so you can kind of scroll down and see how we role play with our RCA students and get them ready for those work the room or those conversation skills. And so pay attention to those videos, because you'll see those nuances there about, okay, if we're really in here, it's not the moment for you to come in and try to introduce yourselves. Wait till we open up a little bit more, kind of reading that body language to know when you can, you can jump in.
Right, and if our hands are full, a handshake is lovely and important, but if Kirk's hands are full, I might be so nice to meet you.
Yes.
I don't have to try to move all the stuff out of his hands to shake his hand. And the death grip. So we're giving you some tips too. So when you shake someone's hand, what happens, this part of your hand should be flat against the other person's hand. If there's like a cup in there, there's some airspace, what tends to happen is it becomes the claw of death. And it
the claw of death.
It's like you're squeezing this part of the hand. And also the amount with which you squeeze should really be, someone who's an older, frail woman, you're not going to give her the firmest hand, might break her little hand, versus if it's, you're talking to a pro football player, give it a little bit more of that, right?
Got to read the room.
Yeah, got to read the room. So these are little subtle things. A lot of students, when they go to shake a hand, they'll put this finger out for some reason. So it's like you're putting an injection into their vein. So there's that finger, it goes under. It doesn't go like this. So these little things, but when you have shaked as many hands as we have shaken, then you start to see these patterns of things that are effective and things that are not. So these are subtle tips of things you can work with your students on. And many people say, well, how do you teach us? It's not just something, we have a class on the Amazing Shake. It is an expectation we do here all the time throughout the course of the year. We practice these skills. It's really woven into much of what we do, including within our classrooms. And so this is a good time to kind of tell those who may not know a little bit more about the Ron Clark Academy and what you may not know. Some of you do, but our school is actually a school for students in 4th through 8th grade. We are a nonprofit middle school in Atlanta. However, in addition to teaching our phenomenal students, our heart, we also want to teach educators as well. So educators from all over the world come to our school several times a year, usually about twice a month, to sit in our classrooms, watch our classes in session, attend our workshops, and learn our methods and techniques to take them back to their own schools. So we're trying to create a revolution in education.
We are.
And when they're here, we show them strategies for student engagement, but also for having high academic expectations, huge on that, and also how do you create a climate culture? It doesn't have to be a carnival, but how do you create a climate culture that has discipline, manners, respect, but also there's joy, there's enthusiasm, there's creativity. So educators, you can learn more about that at ronclarkacademy.com. And when educators come here, they do see how these soft skills that we use here are integrated into everything we do.
Absolutely. So make sure that you check out the website, rcaexp.com, if you're an educator and you'd love to come to the Ron Clark Academy to check out what that looks like, because as Ken mentioned, we have about 15,000 educators who come every year to sit in our classrooms to watch our teachers teach and to take those strategies back, including the Amazing Shake, which a lot of you have, obviously who are watching, have taken the Amazing Shake back to your schools. And so we appreciate you for doing that. So let's kind of go back to the top again. For those of you who are just tuning into this broadcast, you are tuned into the Global Amazing Shake Competition. As you see on the screen, my name is Kirk Brown, Chief Development and Communications Officer here at RCA.
And I'm Kim Beard, and I'm the co-founder and executive director.
Yes, and so this competition is called the Amazing Shake. Students from all across the country and around the world, including Canada and Honduras, are here to compete across 3 days to see which students are going to emerge as the global champion. It's a competition that tests their soft skills on their handshake, their eye contact, their poise, their confidence, their situational awareness. How do they navigate certain scenarios? And these are skills that they will take with them for life, not just in school that they will use, but they will use them throughout the rest of their life. And this is a shot of the Gauntlet that you see here for round one. The theme this year is a carnival theme, and it's a broken carnival that students have to go around with a series of tasks that they will have to figure out by engaging and interacting with each judge. It's a lot of fun, but there's also a lot of business aspect to it as well. So
absolutely, they're having to look through the lens of, okay, this carnival is a hot mess, ticket sales are down, people aren't attending, and so they're asked questions throughout. We have employees with low morale, I don't want to be here? What do you recommend I do? But then you also have them being interviewed as if they were going to be someone to come in and fix this carnival, to be a consultant, what would be their business plan? How would they handle that? What would they do differently? How can they get this to be a more engaging thing for the family? How are they competing with things like technology and things like that for people to even want to be at something like a carnival? How would they get the funding to make it happen?
Yeah.
So these are the kinds of questions they're asked with all these distractions happening around them, from stilt walkers to the sounds of all kinds of cotton candy machines, and you see we have a dunking tank.
Yes.
We did have mercy on the volunteers. We didn't put water in
We
the
didn't put
dunking
water
tank.
in the dunking tank, right. It looks like water, kind of, but it's, little softballs for them.
But imagine these volunteers, though. Each of these volunteers has to interview over 200 students. So because we have 414 students, I believe, competing in these rounds, we have a mirror image on both sides of the gym, so the same exact gauntlet is on both sides so that we can make sure that we can get these through before tomorrow.
Yes.
Get the students through the questioning. And they have to interview over 200 students and score them. That's an exhausting thing to do,
Yes.
quite honestly.
It really is. So shout out to our volunteers who are
Absolutely.
here, sitting in the faux dunking booths here and having to fall down and get up each time that the ball hits the lever there. But it takes a mammoth effort of putting this on and getting all the folks to come here and to volunteer. So shout out to those, and a special shout out to Truist for sending 40 volunteers
40.
from their company, some who have flown in to be a part of the competition this weekend.
So Kirk and Danny Zayas from the development department as well, they had to obtain over almost 300 volunteers to give of their time and talents. And so we are so grateful, because the Ron Clark Academy staff, while we put on this production, we are not judges in it. So that's really important, because we want to make sure that these are people that don't know the students, meeting them for the first time, because this is about first impressions. How do you even get your foot in the door at that business? And so we really feel like that even maybe more than when we started this competition many years ago. We started it at our own school 17 years ago as a small competition where the students would just go down the hallway and meet many different people and engage with them for a minute. And then every year we added a little bit more to it, some little challenges. What if the person's hands were full and they dropped the pencils? How do they engage with them? What if the person turned around and the person didn't speak their language? How do they engage with them? So we added a little bit more and more until it became what you see behind you as the Gauntlet round. But then from there, subsequent rounds occur. And so throughout this, though, I feel like at the time that we've been doing this, these skills have become more and more important with the technology age.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Because we have so many students who are more comfortable in front of a device than in a room. And so we want to make sure that students, even if they have all the knowledge in the world, if they can't go in and make that presentation, that pitch for their tech company, then we have done them a disservice. And so the businesses, the companies who support us, they get this. And so many businesses in your community will as well. They have people who come to interview for them who cannot convey their thoughts effectively, who cannot do a pitch, cannot really present in front of a room full of people in an engaging way, and this competition helps with it.
So if you need the business case for getting sponsors and folks in the community, that is the case right there, because as Kim mentioned, and you all know this as well, which is, why it's so important, a lot of students are in the screen all day, every day, and they can't communicate, but businesses need folks who can communicate, who can represent their companies, and so the business case for this is clear. And so if you're looking for those folks, if you're doing this competition in your school communities, which many of you are because you're tuned in, let them know you want folks who are going to be capable to be in your businesses and your companies. And so this is why it's important. So why you should support this competition by being a sponsor, providing volunteers, or whatever it is to make this happen.
And look, when you see that, you just saw the image of the guy with the head coming out the table. You're like, okay, how does that help with the business world? Well, first of all, we're trying to make this a little fun for these kids. But second of all, it's a hard question. He's like, no one comes to my attraction. Nobody really wants to be here. He's the floating head. And he said, how do I make this more engaging? How do I make this attraction better? What things can I do? There's a creativity aspect that we don't want technology doing all the creative thinking for our students. We want our students to be able to have creative ideas and thoughts as well. And so she's having to give her input. And it's fascinating, even as you're watching these images scroll, to look at the different body language of the students. I think that's important. Like, are they leaning in? Are they smiling? Are they making that eye contact? See, she had a nice smile. She reached in, did the handshake. Do students, when they approach someone to make a handshake, we say, you shouldn't be looking down.
Looking down, right. You want to look in their eye.
Hold your hand out. Make that connection. So those little subtle things like that are things that the students are taught, they're coached on. to see how well they can do in the shake.
Yeah, I mean, and you see all the camera angles that are just flying around this gymnasium that we have turned into the Gauntlet. So I got to give a shout out to our production team, media team. I mean, there's cameras all over. There are cameras all over this gym. You saw the aerial shot. You saw the folks by the water tank. I mean, it's just incredible. So Tim, Paul, the whole team, that media team, for making this happen for us each year. I mean, just look at that, how beautiful this is. And the volunteers that make this happen, the folks on our team, incredible. Hutch, Ethan, Cookie, Latasha, Cameron, everyone who came together to make this happen. A good shout out to them. I love the ring toss station, right? Because it looks just like the ring toss that you would find at a carnival, but it's not just about the ring toss. A kid may walk up and think, oh, I just got to get 3 rings and get a stuffed dragon.
And then not talk.
But no, you got to engage with the folks who are there. And so are you going to make that eye contact while you are tossing those rings? Are you going to have conversation? Do you give a handshake first before you start tossing the rings? I mean, what are you going to do to get those full 20s?
Right.
If you think it's just trying to get 3 on the dragon, 3 on the bottle to get the dragon, you think that's going to be a 0.
Right. You know, who cares if they land? Oh, yeah, I gotta tell you something.
Okay.
So we rented these bottles. These are from like a bottle ring toss. Here's the scam. All of the little tops, because it's an optical illusion with the glass, none of them are straight. They're all wonky.
Are you
They're
serious?
curved. Yes, that's why you can't get those rings
What
on
in the
there.
world?
Yeah.
No one
By
told
the
us
way,
this.
yes, if anybody ever does get 3, they do get one of those little dragons.
Well, I
But
love
if
that.
you're more focused on getting the dragon than on making, than on making the conversation authentic, then you're not going to do so well.
Then you're not going to do so well
But
at all.
they are rigged. The carnival games are rigged. Just so you know, if you look at them closely, they all curve different directions. They're not straight.
What? So we had to put on our own carnival to figure out that this whole thing was messed up. It was rigged for us not to win
So if
it.
you're there, you're trying to impress a date, just come up with something.
Wow.
Else. It's all rigged. So
That's
it
crazy.
can be done, but it's not. They're not straight. I think it's as much luck as it is skill. To be honest with you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think it's as much luck.
Well, Carnival, we appreciate helping us to find out what we got to do when we actually go to the carnival, because
Yes.
who knew?
Who knew? So it is fun to see. And so there's also another creative station we mentioned earlier where there's a lost and found. So they have to walk up and tell them they lost something. Who's going to just walk up and say, I lost my phone? Or is somebody going to walk up and have something clever? I lost my sense of purpose.
Yes.
What is it? But even if they lost their phone, that could be clever depending on why they need it. What's in that phone? What happened? How did they lose it? So it's just a role play, but can they think on their feet and be creative and clever and memorable? Because I know if you're shaking hand after hand after hand, how do you set yourself apart? How do you stand out as somebody that will be memorable? That's tough.
Yeah, and so going back to another station that's here in the Gauntlet, the creepy sign holder that we saw earlier, the dude that's in or the woman, I'm not sure who's under that mask, but it's very, very creepy. But they've got a question, the judge is a creepy person, they're not speaking at all, but they just hold up signs with spooky messages. Is the student gonna be spooked out and not engaged? Do they push through and continue to engage? What would you do? How would you handle this? Do you continue to use serious conversation, or do you try to use some humor and wit?
Right. Are you still trying to be so intensely focused that you're being rehearsed? Yeah. How do you really show your personality? It's a great opportunity for someone to actually see your real personality. And
Yeah.
so I think that's really fun. The cotton candy machine, the employee.
By the way, that cotton candy looks really good. I think
See,
I
I
want to
don't
go
do
over there.
cotton candy.
You don't do cotton candy?
Here's why. The frustration for me is that it looks lovely. You put it in your mouth, and I want to bite it, and then it's gone.
It's gone, right?
There's too much frustration for me. I like a good chew.
I do like a good chew, but maybe because I'm starving, I think that cotton candy
That's
would.
not going to fill you up.
It's not
going to
gonna
nothing
it's
there.
gone,
It's
but
going to hurt your teeth.
it looks great. I mean, look at that.
But her job is, at the cotton candy, is to be forlorn. I don't like my job. I hate making this cotton candy. Do you have any advice for me? I'm miserable. How do you help with employee morale? Because she's sitting there making cotton candy all day long. Help her to feel excited about it. Now that is that's a very artistic piece.
That
of
is
cotton.
right. I've never seen cotton candy quite designed.
I've been taking it like
that.
it all up, trying to make it like a little ball, and it still goes away. I need to be able to crunch it. It doesn't work for me.
The amazing cotton candy factory I mean, look at that. That looks like a real,
It looks like a real cotton candy factory.
Yeah.
A shout out again, Latasha Lewis from our staff here, our graphic design team, phenomenal, brilliant, designed all of these backdrops. And then Cam Bradley from our graphics team also has done so many of the different graphics that you'll see all throughout the competition when in our rotunda, the ceiling, the signage, for the screens and everything. Absolutely brilliant individuals to make all these things.
So I want to give another shout out to our sponsors again, just to, because again, we cannot do this without them to help make this whole competition happen. So our Diamond presenting sponsor this year is going to be Inspire Foundation. They are incredible. Our Platinum in-kind sponsors, TMPAV, they provide the screens in the auditorium that you'll see later on throughout the competition. I mean, those screens are incredible.
Epic.
We want them, by the way, so maybe there's a donor out there that can help us get them one day. And then Synovus, they help us as well as a sponsor this year, and also AT&T. So shout out to all of our sponsors to help make this happen, because not only do our staff do an incredible job of setting this up and putting this together, but there's some cost to it as well, and we want to give a shout out to them for underwriting that for us.
And also, if there are any community members who sponsored students from your community to come here to the Amazing Shake, thank you for that as well, because
shout
these
them out
students had to travel here. We have students here from Honduras, Washington State, just to even get here from Washington State, California,
across the country,
Canada, and so there's a great cost for these students to be able to come here. There were students last night I met, first time I've ever been on an airplane, and first time ever to even a major city, so the excitement around that, it's really been beautiful to see all the things that they've been doing. They've been visiting the aquarium and the World of Coke.
Oh, wow.
It is a requirement if you come to Atlanta.
Yes.
And so really enjoying it. So we're so grateful for all that. So let's say that you are thinking about starting Amazing Shake at your school. For some of you who are watching with that intent, we do have a website, theamazingshake.com. It has tips, tricks, how you really teach the students these skills, but also how do you get started. But we're ready to level up a little bit, so I want to talk about that for a moment.
Okay.
So we do have schools and districts all over the country who are doing their own Amazing Shakes. Communities are doing them and hosting them, and then those winners are coming here to the Global Amazing Shake. And so what we would like to do is we really want to start to really put some structure around all of that. So if you will go to our website, theamazingshake.com, and you go to host an event, well, now you can apply to be someone who hosts an event in your community. But the cool thing is we have the materials for you, we have the packaging, we have the backdrops, how we even ship those to you, how that takes place, how that's funded. We are a nonprofit, and so some of the funding from that, of course, goes back to the Ron Clark Academy. Ron Clark is the creator of this Amazing Shake, but also to help support our students, but it'd be something to benefit your community as well. So if you're someone who has hosted them in the past, I want you to make sure you look into that if you don't happen to be here this year as an opportunity, because we're looking for people who are really skilled at hosting these events to partner with us so that these can be the Ron Clark Academy and Global Amazing Shake, preliminary rounds in different places throughout the country. So more about that will be coming, but I just wanted to let you know that, put that teaser out there. We're really excited. We have different kinds of kits with different carnival themes, different themes for the Gauntlet, not all carnival. We have one that timeline through history. Oh, we've got a clown with us here.
I was like, this guy.
Why do I want to bonk his nose?
I
know. See, and so it distracts us. We would have scored low.
We would have scored. No, you kept going.
I kept going. Oh, he would have scored low. I was laser focused there.
Yes, check out theamazingshake.com and see how you can host one in your community. Because as the competition continues to grow, we want to figure out how we can support schools. Because a lot of times schools say, okay, what is the station? What are the stations? How do I do this? And so this Amazing Shake in a box, essentially, is going to be shipped to your school with all the pop-ups, all the things that you need.
The score sheets, the backdrops, and there's different themes. And so several years of themes that we have in these boxes, and it could be the timeline through history. Our school-wide Global Amazing Shake this year was phenomenal. They went into a time machine, and they went from 1910 all the way into the future. They had 40 stations. We have a lot in our local one.
Yes.
And they were interviewed on different things from every decade. Last year, our globals they visited New York City, it was Atlanta. We've done two. We've done different ones. But last year they arrived. They were at the ticketing counter for the airline.
Yes.
The flight reservation was lost, and then they had to go all throughout the city and meet different executives from different corporations here, but also visit different events and different things. They even were in Piedmont Park. Remember, we had a squirrel behind a tree.
That squirrel was hilarious.
We had someone in a squirrel costume. It was hilarious, but just to be a distraction. So we have all different types of themes that we use for the Gauntlet round. This being probably the most festive.
Festive for sure.
But it's kind of sad. There's nothing worse than a sad, broken down carnival clown.
I know, right?
There is the sadness to it as well. But it makes it fun for the kids, but also still requires them to be able to demonstrate their skills. We
Yes.
didn't want them to just come and be in a room the whole time shaking hands and sitting down. How do you make this fun? And let's talk about the fun also will continue. So we mentioned earlier that the students are placed into groups, their hype squad, their crew. So today they will have this round, and then they have after they leave this room, they do work the room.
Yes.
And then we narrow it down throughout the course of the day. We can't tell you everything that's going to happen because they don't know yet.
They don't-
so we
right.
don't want to put it out there yet until it all happens. But this evening, they'll go home at 4 o'clock. They'll come back from 7 to 9, and we have a party.
The Amazing Bash. There's
is
a
a bash.
DJ, there's food, there's entertainment, there's fun, and the students really get a chance to let down their hair after a full day of competing, a full day of being on to just breathe, relax, but then have some fun with their peers, and so that's important that we think.
We do know how to throw a party. So these
Yes.
kids are going to have a great time at that. And then tomorrow, we have the final rounds for the top 12.
Yes.
And so tomorrow, we will be broadcasting live as well. We will have the top winner announced tomorrow afternoon, but a lot of right before noon tomorrow. So we are excited about that. So the competition will run through tomorrow morning, and then after that, we will have our new 2025 Global Amazing Shake Champion.
I love the head popping up out of that table.
What a good
Hilarious,
sport.
right?
What a good sport. You know, you come say, oh, I'm going to be in a workplace readiness competition. I'm going to be a volunteer and shaking hands. And then we put your head through a hole in a table.
And then imagine the judge having to sit now on the seesaw for 3 hours of scoring kids going up and down, up and down. So
You know what I learned, though?
What's that?
Some people don't know how to get on a seesaw. They don't know how to seesaw.
Oh.
So if your child doesn't know how to do seesaw, you need to get them out there, and they need to be outdoors more. Get them outside.
So
Now, we did tell the girls they could sit sideways on.
oh yes, because if they have on a skirt,
we want them
then
to
that
feel
yeah. I forgot about that piece.
We want them to feel comfortable.
So-
But this judge, she's all in.
This
She's wearing
judge-
pantsuit. She's ready to go.
She's ready to kill it. So shout out to her. Now this broadcast, we're going to be broadcasting all throughout the day today. So if you're tuning in right now, we appreciate you. We're going to stay on for probably a few more minutes, and then we'll come back live from the Gauntlet floor to walk around so you can see a little bit more up close about what's happening. But then as the competition continues later on, we'll be back on later this afternoon for round 7, I believe, where you'll see sort of that's tomorrow. Round 3 when we do the Parade of Champions. We'll do the top 50, and we'll be broadcasting live from our auditorium, and you'll see the screens that we mentioned earlier that TMPAV, the company, provides for us. And then at around 2:45, we'll do round 4, the group interviews, and so we'll be broadcasting throughout the morning and throughout the day so that you can see how your students are doing in this competition. Lots of exciting times, lots of fun that's happening here, and so we want you to be a part of it. And I'm seeing here that you all are in the comments shouting out your students, shouting out your schools, so continue to do that.
They do go back
and watch it.
They go and look for their names. So make sure you put your child's name, the student you're supporting, in those comments. They'll be in the school that you represent as well. They make them very, very proud.
Awesome. All right, so I think we're gonna go off the broadcast here. We'll come back a little bit later, and so we'll have some on the Gauntlet floor reactions as well, and then come back and talk to you guys a little bit more. So until then, we'll see y'all in a little few. See you guys in a little bit. Take care.
Thank you.
I see how it is. How it is? Yeah.
Okay, good seeing you. There we go. What is that underhand? You need some force. All right, I like that.
Because our target audience is children. So this is really good. Thank